Howdy guys, it's Luke at Luke's APS, and in this video I'm going to take you through how to build a super quick Warcry table using 3D printed terrain and a couple of quick techniques. I'll catch you after this. So guys, yes, this video I'm going to build a Warcry table using 3D printed terrain. Yeah, I'm going there. The 3D printed terrain that I'm using is from Danny. Danny from the 3D printed tabletop. He's putting a Kickstarter together for his new products, which has gone live today. Okay, all the links to his Kickstarter will be below. All the information about and everything else, and all the things you're going to see in this video are going to be in that Kickstarter. However, do check that at the end because it doesn't do me any good for my analytics. So let's get this board, let's go have a look at these miniatures, let's get this board built, and then let's talk about the Kickstarter at the end. I'll see you in a bit. So these are the ruins that Danny's doing on the Kickstarter. They're quite nice. As you can tell, these have been printed with a 0.2 layer height apparently. So it's not the smallest layer height they can do, but they've come off rather smooth. I'm not going to dry brush these though, because with all FDM printers, if you dry brush them, you're going to see lines, which is not what you want to do. So I'm going to show you a little technique to get round making, to paint them to make them look as best they can. Now, the main thing that caught my eye with this this Kickstarter that Danny were talking about were these trees. And I said, out of everything, I said I'd be quite interested in these trees. I think these are Citadel Woods killers. What I mean by that is the Games Workshop trees. They look similar to this. I mean, they're a bit like, what's the word? Creepy woods looking. But you have to stick on loads of the little leaves, don't you? Now, the issue with that is they're quite fragile still, even though they're plastic. Now, I think this is the perfect solution to trees. So you've got your tree. They've been designed so you can put some of these models in there with a 25mm base or larger. So we've got a 25mm base miniature in there. We can put, I think that's a 50mm base in there. And the design so you can put your tree canopies on top even with an ogre in the tree. Now these tree canopies are what I believe to be a really good idea for super strong wargaming. Now they're not very realistic, but they are very good for stylized wargaming. So for like D&D wargaming, which like Citadel Woods are very stylized. They're what's not what I'd call a nice looking woods, but they are ideal for fantasy games like D&D or tabletop if you're going for that aesthetic. And these fit that perfectly. But the best thing about this is you can do that with them. Now, if you wanted some fall trees, all you've got to do is print yourself off another top and you can make yourself some fall trees. Or this is a very nice cup. Now, I don't know whether Danny intended this with his tree canopy, but they make a nice drinking receptacle for your whiskey. Sharp though. So first off, we need a board. This is just 3mm ply attached to a 25mm beam all the way around to create a picture frame with a support beam. I've done it off to one side because I was going to use this board for a different board, but if you were making it for just a normal flat table, just bang it in the middle. You can put foam in this side, so if you want to go under or down or do any ponds or anything, you can put your foam in this side and do it on that side, and you've got a perfect size board for Warcry. I'm not doing anything like that with it just being a very quick build, so I'm just going to go straight on top of the wood and leave it like that so I can hang it on a wall. So let's place the ruins and let's quickly build this in the next few hours. So we're going to be attaching these down with a glue called Mitafast. This is a really thick super glue. It's designed for gluing wood joints together. With the activator, this bonds in around 10 seconds. For doing things like this, it's awesome because you can stick your terrain down and then move on to doing the modelling compound, which is another product that I do, which is a very fast drying paper and plaster mix, which you put down and that dries in around 10 to 20 minutes. depending on temperatures and how much water you've added. As you can see, it builds up the ground cover, and all you've got to do is just build it around the buildings just to blend them in more. They are ruins, they've been sat there a while, and they would have a bit more earth going up to them. If you was going to do these just freestanding, you don't have to do the compound mix, you can just flock your board and stick these on so they're completely modular. I do this just so it looks a little bit nicer. After around 10-15 minutes of placing it down, wet your hands and then just smooth it out, so you have a nice transition from the ground level to the compound. I'm going to use a really cheap matte black spray can just to get the base coat down on the terrain. Spray this all over them just so you've got a solid base coat on there. From that, I'm using a grey uniform from Army Painter, and I'm just spraying this above just so it naturally highlights the terrain. With it being 3D printed and the layer lines, I don't want to touch this with any form of brush or anything like that, dry brushing washers, because it'll just highlight them layer lines. From that, I go to a white spray can, and that just lifts the highlight again, and we only concentrate on the top layers to lift out the detail that's on there. And this is how far I'm away from the terrain, just giving it a good dusting from above, from every angle, just highlighting the natural highlights. While that's drying, I go on with a creamy brown for the trees after spraying them with that, so it gives it a bit of more of a rich colour. However, I don't like brown trees, so I'll go on with a brown violet just to give them a bit more of a greeny browny grey finish. And give these like quite a heavy dry brush / stipple, and that sort of makes them look a bit more natural. While that's all drying, remember you have got a cup, so get some whiskey in that and have yourself a drink. Don't spill it down yourself like I do. These canopies can be sprayed with dark green. If you're going for a fall colour, give them a dark brown colour and then spray some oranges over the top. This is dark green and army green from Army Painter, just to give them that normal greeny look. It's a very simple process, and as you can see, it looks pretty decent. Now once that's all dry, this is what it's going to roughly look like. It's quite a nice look to say we've only hit this with spray cans, we're not using any washers, we're not using any dry brushing, and we're going to leave it at this. This is a very quick build. I'm only wanting to put about 4 hours into this, if that. Now going on to the ground cover with just a house paint, just the darkest brown paint that I've got. You chuck your PVA glue down, and then what we're going to do on top of that is throw on my ground cover mixers. If you're new to the channel, this is soil, brown tile grout, and it's brown pigments, and all you do is just scatter that on. Layer it on thick, get some nice natural ground covering, like undulations to your ground cover. If you put it on thick in one area, don't worry about it, just leave it. You get a really nice natural ground cover. And once you've sprinkled that all over, you'll look at it and go, that looks ace. And the reason for that is the pigments and the ground, the tile grouts are very fine, far finer than any sand, and it just looks far more natural at this scale. To fix this in place, I give it a spray with isopropanol. This is just a pure alcohol which makes the glues just absorb straight into it and all the way through it and locks it in place. However, the tile grout is classed as like an adhesive or a cement, so as you spray that with the water and the glues and everything else, it will bond as well, so it makes it super hard for wargaming. So once you've sprayed that all over with the ISO, give it the same misting and coating with your glue, and when you spray that glue on, it'll lock it down super hard. After that, we're using some of the Luke's APS flocks. Now I use about 3, maybe 4 colours all over this. Just sprinkle it as you would sprinkle the earth. Don't think about it too much. I'm just, where the glue is, that's where I'm putting the flock, because I want this to be quite patchy with it being Age of Sigmar or Warcry, whatever you want to call it. And where the water's residing is where the flock would be. So just chuck your flock on, and then we'll repeat the process and seal all that in place. And once that's dry, you're going to be left with a board that looks like that. It's not brilliant, it's not amazing, but for a few hours that we spent just throwing this together for your club or your D&D encounter or your game of Warcry, and you just want something a little bit different to play on, little work's needed to create something that looks pretty cool. Alright guys, I'll see you in a bit. So guys, that board took me, what, 4 hours? Very quick. I know it's not like this ultra hyper realistic gaming tables that you're probably used to, but it is thrown together in a couple of hours. The reason I've done it is for the club, so we can play Warcry on it. I'm sure the Pathfinder and D&D guys will love playing on it as well, because it's on a nice small board for Warcry kill team size board. It just means that it can be thrown in a container. It's not going to get damaged or broken. The trees, yes, they're very stylized looking, but they serve a very good purpose. You can just throw them in a box and they're never going to break or chip. Me personally, I don't mind the look because they've got an utter purpose, but if I was building a board, I'd make a tree, just because I prefer the look of it. But the stylized trees, they have a nice high fantasy look to them, and they're not going to break. They are a proper robust thing. I can't get that with trees I make. So it's again, it's which do you choose? And to say that you could print one of them out in a day, you don't have to worry about it. I can deal with that. I'd quite happily use them. But like I've said, the Citadel's wood killers, I'd quite happily compare them to the Citadel wood trees because they're very similar looking in style and they're as robust as each other, but the canopy is far better. So what is this Kickstarter and everything else? It's called The Lost Adventures, okay? It's an all-in-one 3D printable adventure. What you're getting is 3D printable minis, terrain, maps, props, and all your accompanying RPG adventure stuff. Everything on this Kickstarter is also compatible with Dungeons & Dragons from level 1 to level 5. And there's also printable maps, and there's also all your 3D printable props as well. So you can just take your RPGs to the next level. If you don't know who Danny is, do check out his YouTube channel here. Do check out all the links and everything's below, and do consider pledging to helping this guy out. He's a very nice bloke and is the reason why I bought a 3D printer, which you might see coming up in the future. If you do want to see any other awesome reviews about these products as well, especially on the miniatures, do check out these two beauties. We've got Goobertown Hobbies and we've got Age of Squigmar, which are two very good up-and-coming YouTube channels. And they're funny blokes as well. All right, guys, don't forget to check out my shop, please, and help support me. I know I'm promoting other people, but I'd like to make some money as well. So check out my products below at the stores in your countries, so America, everywhere else. Well, thanks for watching, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again for the next video, which will be on Friday. I'll see you then. Love, love, love.